planet! Hack the planet!
Shut up and get it.
Mr. Hat, may I please be excused from class?
Well, Carl,
Yes.
you hear me? You go to
Hack.
you go to
Hack.
you.
Have a great day.
All right, everybody. This is HackerFrogs, and I am the Shy Hat. And today, what we're going to be doing is two topics as usual. We're going to be doing some SQL injection practice with a couple of different platforms. First, we're going to do some challenges on PicoCTF, and then after that, we're going to move on to a couple of rooms over at TryHackMe. And we're going to try to get as much done as we can over there before we switch over to our second topic after about an hour or so. And that's going to be on hacking history. We've got a couple of topics that we want to hit up with hacking history tonight. And those are going to be the Sony Pictures hack, as well as the Bangladeshi bank heist, which were supposedly done by the same hacking group. We're going to learn about all of that in about an hour or so. That's going to start over in about 60 minutes. And first, we're going to be doing some SQL hacking practice. And Notes by Nisha in YouTube says, I used to teach computer classes to middle and high school students. It's certainly a thing, teaching high school classes. Fortunately, I think it's a little easier for me. I just started teaching the HackerFrogs youth group last week, and this is done over Zoom. So Zoom is a little bit easier because if students act out, it's not necessarily something you can see. But the students have been, for the most part, very well behaved. So I'm happy about that. It's just I need to modify my teaching techniques so that less students get lost during my demonstrations, because I certainly don't want students to fall behind during the classes is all. All right, so let's start with our first challenge over here. This is going to be on the Pico CTF website, and I will provide the link in chat. This is called More SQLi, and we're going to apply our techniques to try to use SQL injection to exploit the application. After you come up on the challenge page over here, it says that it's a medium level challenge under the web exploitation category, and it's from the Pico CTF 2023 event. The description says, can you find the flag on this website? Additional details will be available after launching your challenge instance. So the first thing we need to do is we need to click on the Launch Instance button, and that's going to spin up the website that we need to interact with to complete the challenge. So just click on that, and after a couple of seconds, we've got some extra information on the description page. So it says, try to find the flag here, and there's a link over here. So what we need to do is we need to right-click it and put it in a new tab, and then we're going to be able to interface with the website. So over on the website over here, it says, security challenge, please log in. So the first thing we can try is we can try to bypass the authentication on this web page right here. And we do so with the typical SQL bypass, login bypass string, which is this one right here, quote or 1 = 1, and then space, double dash, and then space again. And then for the password, we can just put any old thing. So this, if the login page is vulnerable to SQL injection, this should log us in. What this payload right here does is that it closes out the quote for the username, and then it's going to supply a true statement, which is the or 1 = 1 over here, and then the double dashes they're going to quote out any other SQL code included in this statement right here. What we're doing is we're injecting SQL database code into the login form. So we're going to click on login, and we're going to receive this message right here. So it says, username, this is what we inputted right here, and we put in the password test. So over here, we have a SQL query. Select ID from users where password equals test and username equals blank, or 1 = 1, and then quote out the rest. So does anybody know what the problem here is? So we weren't able to log in, but there's one important detail about this particular SQL query that prevents us from logging in. Can anybody point out what it is? Okay, user Asadox says the comment hash instead of dash dash. Okay, so that is not the issue in this case. So the issue in this case is actually the order in which we put our user input. So what the typical order is: select ID from users where username equals something and then password equals something else. But in this case, they've inversed it. So they've done the password first and then the username second. So that means that our true statement is not available in the first part of the query right here, and so our SQL bypass fails. So we can actually easily remedy this by just switching up the order. So instead of the password being test, we can have the username be test, and then for the password we include our SQL injection string. So let's do that. So we're going to go back, and in the username column and the username field, we're just going to do test. It can be anything. And then for the password, we're going to include the bypass. So it's going to be single quote space or space 1 = 1 space dash dash space. So this is if this is vulnerable to SQL injection, this is going to log us in, and because this is going to be in the right order. All right, so we click on login, and now we're logged into the application. Okay, so when we arrive here, we see another search bar, search field over here, and we see that we have 3 columns right here, and we've got a city, we've got an address, and we've got a phone number. So we could potentially test this field right here for SQL injection, and in that case, we're going to do quote, and then it's going to be union select. And then we need to find out how many columns this original query included. So we suspect it might be 3 because we see 3 columns right here. So we're going to try 3 columns. So it's going to be select null, null, null. So in the previous example, we did select 1, 2, 3 to keep track of the columns. But in this case, we're going to use null, null, null for each one of these because this is more likely to work, because sometimes we can't select numbers, and sometimes it's looking for text. But if we use null to test for columns, that means that it's going to be successful every time. So at the end of this, we're going to quote out everything as usual, and then go into search. So because we don't see anything, everything's been replaced with the nulls that we supplied. So we've enumerated that we have 3 columns in this union select, so we can proceed from there. So let me grab my notes really quick. Okay. All right. So from here, we know that this one works. So union select null, null, null. So in this case, we know that this SQL server is running SQLite, because we've got this handy dandy little hint and it says SQLite. So we know that we're dealing with that particular flavor of SQL. So we're going to go back and we're going to solve this all in 8 minutes because that's our time limit. So it's great to have that. Okay, so the first thing we need to do after we've determined how many columns are in the union select is that we need to figure out what the names of the tables are in this database. So the first thing we need to do is so we're going to do first one null, and then the second one we're going to return return the name, and in the third column we're going to return the SQL, which is the SQL information, and we're going to get that from SQLite _ master. So this is a table with the information about all the other tables inside the database. And we're going to cap it off with the double dash rather, and then the space. So I'll supply this particular payload in the chat just in case you want to try that. Okay, so we're going to search. And then we see the results over here. So the second column is going to be the name of the different tables. So we've got hints, we have more table, we have offices. Let's see. And we have SQLite auto index of users 1, and we have users. So these are the different tables inside of this database here. And then we have the contents of the tables. So these are the column names over here. So we've got let's see, we've got hints. This is a column inside of this table. And then we have info. This is another column inside this table. And then we have more table over here. So more table has the ID column. It's an integer, which is not null. And then it also has the flag column inside of more table. So we know that more table is the table we want to investigate because it has the flag column inside here. So let's get the flag out of this more table, okay? So back over here, we're going to provide the following. It's going to be union select, and then it's going to be null, null, and then it's going to be flag from more underscore table, and then we're going to give the double dash over here. So just in case the people in chat want to try this out, this is what we're doing right now. So we're just getting the flag column from the more table table. And then it says here, if you are here, you must have seen it. And we have another column here, which is the flag. So all we need to do is grab the flag, highlight it, and then copy it, and then go over back to the challenge description, paste it into the flag submission field, and click on Submit Flag. All right, and we're done. All right, the last thing we want to do is we want to go back into the challenge, and we want to upvote the challenge to show appreciation to the challenge makers over here. So Mubarak Mikhail has created this challenge. We will upvote the challenge just to show our appreciation. All right, and then we're done. Okay, so that's one challenge down. So the second challenge we're going to do is called this right here. Let me take a look. And I'll provide the link in chat as well. Oh, this is more SQLi. Wait. Let me grab. That's the wrong link. Let me grab another link. Is it this one? Okay, SQLite. SQLi Lite. All right, and I'll provide the link to this challenge. It's this one right here. Okay, so I think this is just a simple. Okay, let's go over this. Okay, so this challenge is called SQLi Lite. This is a medium difficulty challenge in the web exploitation category from the PicoCTF 2022 event. The description here says, "Can you log into this website? Additional details will be available after launching your challenge instance." So that means we're going to have to launch our instance to spin up the website that we're going to exploit here. So we can do that by clicking on the blue Launch Instance button. Okay, so when the virtual machine has spun up the website, we'll see an instance time remaining over here. So we have about 15 minutes to solve this challenge. And then the description changes to try to log in here. So what we can do is we can right-click this and put this in a new tab. And then we're going to access the tab. So it just says log in, username and password. So what we can do is we can try to use our login bypass technique. So the login bypass technique is to click on the username field and then supply this string right here, single quote, or 1 = 1. And then we're going to quote out everything afterwards with the double dashes over here. And for the password, we can just put in anything. So I'm just going to put in test. All right, so if this is vulnerable to SQL injection, then this might be able to let us bypass the login screen and log us into the application. So click on login. And then it says here, logged in, but can you see the flag? It is in plain sight. So we have our SQL query over here. We managed to log in, and the challenge says that the challenge asks us if we can see the flag, and it says it's in plain sight. So what can we do to try to see what else is on this page? So it could be that there's invisible text on this page. That is not the case. What we can do is we can just take a look at the page source, so the HTTP source for this particular page, and we can right-click on this, and then click on View Page Source, or we can use the Control-U keyboard shortcut. So let's try the Control-U keyboard shortcut. And then let's take a look at so we can scroll over a little bit, and then there's this hidden text over here, and it says, your flag is this over here. So all we need to do is highlight this, and then copy it, and then go back over to the challenge page. Down in the picoctf flag submission field, paste it in, and click on Submit Flag, and then we're done. And then we're done. All right, so let's go back to that particular challenge and upvote it. Let me grab the link. Hold on. This one right here. Oh, that's not it. This is it. Okay, so we go back to the challenge, and then we click on Upvote to show appreciation for the challenge makers, and then we are done. All right, I should have started with that challenge. Come to think of it, I guess I grabbed the wrong link the first time. All right, so we're going to do. I think we're doing one more challenge. Oh no, we have two more challenges from picoctf. Let's grab this next one. Oh no, we only have one. We only have one more challenge for picoctf. It's this one right here, and I think the challenge is called SQL Direct. All right, so this is the SQL Direct challenge. It is a medium difficulty challenge in the web exploitation category from the picoctf 22 event. And its description says, connect to this PostgreSQL server and find the flag. Additional details will be available after launching your challenge instance. So we can click on this blue button over here to start the challenge. And then we have we have to log in. We have to log into the SQL server. All right, so it looks like we're going to have to use the picoctf web shell for this challenge. So what we need to do is we need to click into our web shell over here. So click on web shell, and then we need to pop out the web shell. So I'm going to click on this button right here. It looks like a box with an arrow pointing out to pop out the web shell terminal. And then it's going to ask us to log into our picoctf terminal. So my name is the Shy Hat, and we're going to grab our password. So get the password, and then we're going to paste it in. So paste it in, press enter, and now we're logged in. All right, so now we have a terminal. So I'm going to clear this off, and then we're going to go back to the challenge over here. I need to grab the link one more time. So if you need to grab the link one more time, I'm putting it in chat for everybody to see. Okay, so in the challenge page over here, it says psql-h saturn. Okay, so this is the command over here that logs us into the PostgreSQL server so we can find the flag. So all we need to do is copy this and then go over to our web shell and paste in the command. And this is going to log us into the server. And so we're not exactly injecting SQL in this case. We're more using SQL to find the flag. So it's going to ask for a password for the user Postgres. The password is available on the challenge page. It says it's Postgres. So we're going to type that in, Postgres, and then press enter. And now we're in. All right, so the first thing we need to do after we enter the database is that we need to get the database name. So we're going to select current underscore database, and that is a function, so we need to supply these parentheses here as well as the semicolon to end the statement. So the current database is Pico. So I guess we should have gotten the hint from the Pico over here. So the name of the database is Pico, and the next thing we need to do is we need to get the names of all the tables in the database. So we can use the following command. It's going to be select table underscore name from information underscore schema.tables, where table underscore type equals base table. Okay, so this is the command that's going to get all of the table names over here. So I'm going to, just in case you wanted to try this out, I'm pasting it in the chat. Okay, so we run this command, and then we have a bunch of table names over here. So among the table names over here is this table that might be interesting for us, which is labeled flags. So we're probably going to look inside of that table. So there are a lot of different tables in here, but over at the top, we see that there is the table flags that we can look in. So how do we look in there? So first of all, we can do :Q to get out of that selection right there. So if we select this, we have to scroll down. If we want to exit from this prompt, we just need to do :Q. So it's just like using Vim. So that's :Q to get out, and then we can get all the information from that flags table. So that's going to be select star from flags. So this is going to get all of the columns from the flags table. And we see here we've got an ID, a first name, a last name, and an address. So in this case, the last column over here has the flag we're looking for. So just highlight this and then go over to the challenge description page and paste in the flag, click on Submit Flag, and we're finished. So lastly, we want to show appreciation for the challenge makers, so we're going to go back in and upvote the challenge. So just click on the thumbs up, and we're done. All right, so everybody, I hope you had fun with these challenges over at PicoCTF. Next, we're going to move on over to the other website, and the other website in this case is going to be the Try Hack Me website. So over at Try Hack Me, they have a room called the DVWA. So after you've logged in, navigate over to this page. I am including the link to the Try Hack Me page in the chat right now. So you do need to be logged in in order to access this room, but this is a free room, so we should be able to access it no problem. So free room, anybody who can deploy virtual machines in this room without being subscribed, that's great. And so the first thing we need to do is start the machine, so just click on the green Start Machine button over here. So large screen recommended, start machine anyway. So it should take a couple of minutes before the machine spins up. In the meantime, we can start up our attack box. So over at the top of the page, we want to click on the Start Attack Box button over here to start up the virtual machine that we're going to use to attack this machine over here. We're going to start machine anyways. So that's also going to take a couple of minutes to initialize. So in the meantime, is everybody having fun doing SQL injection practice right now? So if you're having fun, well, let's give it a little video redeem. Let's do all the things.
This one's dedicated to all the hackers. Yo.
So if anybody doesn't know what that song is, that's the famous nerdcore rap duo. It's called they're called Dual Core, and the song is called All the Things. So it goes drink all the booze, hack all the things, and well, I mean, I haven't done too much hacking while super drunk before, but there's always a first. All right, Notes by Nisha says yes, single quote or 1 = 1. So that's a pretty useful one to remember when you're doing beginner web app challenges, because it can get you in sometimes, but it's a good thing to test out on a lot of login forms whenever you find one. But it's not always going to work, but it sure does feel good when it does get you in. All right, so we're still waiting on this a little bit. It should be about half a minute more. So I'm wondering, so this is going to create a machine that we have to access from our attack box over here. We should see the attack box initialize in just a few seconds. Okay, so after your attack box finishes initializing, what you need to do is click into this terminal window over here and press enter to close it. Next, we want to put this virtual machine attack box in its own browser pane. So we can do that by clicking on this button right here. So the button is labeled View in Full Screen. Click on that, and your attacking machine is going to go full screen in a separate browser tab, which is what we want. And then we go over to the original TrackMe page and click on this button right here, which is labeled Exit Split View. So that means that, well, we don't necessarily have to answer any questions in here, but it's nice that the attack box over here gets its own full screen. So what we need to do in order to access the vulnerable machine that has damn vulnerable web app on it is to click on the Firefox icon. And we're also going to grab the IP address for this machine. It should be at the top of your page. Click on Copy to Clipboard, and then over in your attack box, in the URL address bar, you're going to paste in the IP address. Just to make sure, you should fix the beginning of this with http:// and now we see the login page for the DVWA. I think the password is admin and root. Okay, it's not admin and root. The good thing about this is that the password is actually on the page over here. Click on hint, and it says admin password. Okay, so that's the login credentials. So let's go back, admin, and then password. Click login. Okay, so we're going to be doing damn vulnerable web app. So this is a great web application that we can use to test a lot of different web application vulnerabilities. So they've got a different tab for all of the different attacks. So we've got stuff like brute forcing, command injection, file inclusion, insecure CAPTCHA, XSS, a bunch of different XSS ones. But the first thing we need to do when we access the DVWA app is we need to go down to this tab right here, which is called DVWA Security. So we need to click on that. And then we need to switch the security level, which is defaulted to impossible. And at impossible level, we're not able to exploit any of the web app vulnerabilities. So what we need to do is we need to switch this over to security level low. And we can do that by going down to this drop-down menu right here. So it currently says impossible. We're going to switch it over to low. And then we're going to click on submit. Okay, so we know that we're ready to go when the security level is low. I didn't intend that to rhyme, but it just came out that way. All right, so what we need to do is go back over to the SQL injection. So there are two tabs over here. There's one labeled SQL injection, and there's one labeled SQL injection blind. So we're going to be doing the first one over here. So click on this one. And then we have a field over here, which we can do SQL injection for. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to determine whether or not there's an SQL injection here. And we can do that by just doing a single quote. So single quote, click submit. And then we receive an error message. You have an error message in your SQL syntax. Okay, so this means that we have error-based SQL injection. We can go back. And next we can try to determine if we can do a union select attack by determining the number of columns in this particular query, right? Okay, so it's going to be union select. So it's going to be single quote and then space union select. And it's going to be, so we're going to test one column first. So it's going to be null. And we're going to give the double dashes. And then we're going to submit. And then this error message says the use select statements have a different number of columns. So it's not one column. So we need to test two columns. So we go back. And then we're going to select null and then comma and then another null. And then click on submit again. So if this works, this means that there are two columns in the statement. So we see ID union select null null, first name, surname. So this means that we've successfully done union injection on this particular app, and it has two columns available. So what we can do is we can try to get the database name. So it's the same string that we used before, the same payload. And just in case anybody wants to try this, this is the payload for the previous attack. Okay, so we're going to keep the first column null, and the second column we're going to replace with the following function. It's database, and then the parentheses, and then double dashes as usual. I'll provide this in chat. So after we submit this, then it's going to say that the database name is DVWA. So now that we have the name of the database, we can start enumerating more about the database. So the next one, the next payload is going to be so it's not going to be database, it's going to be table name. So this is going to be table underscore name from information underscore schema dot tables, where table underscore schema equals single quote DVWA single quote, and then give the double dashes. So let me copy this. Okay, and when we submit this, so we see here that there's one table called guestbook, and there's one table called users. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to get the column names from these different tables. So let's do the following. So the first one is going to be null again, and the second column is going to be column underscore name from information underscore schema dot columns, where table underscore schema equals DVWA and table underscore name equals users. Okay, so hopefully I didn't spell anything incorrectly here. So if we submit this one, then we see here that we've got the columns user ID, first name, last name, user, password, avatar, last login, and failed login. Okay, so these are all the columns in here. So the last thing we can do is we can get the we can dump out the information that we want from the table. So now that we know that there's a user and password column in this table over here, we're going to give the following command, and it's going to be, so this time we're going to do both. We're going to use both of the columns. So it's not, the first column isn't going to be null. Instead, it's going to be username. It's going to be user password. So user comma password from users, and then comment out everything else. So this is the payload right here. Click on submit. And it looks like we have, so the username is admin and the password is this. So these look like, these might be MD5 hashed password strings. So what we could do is we could try to copy this, and we could try using a website. So a common website like, I don't know, oh, CrackStation. Yeah, we could use CrackStation. So in another tab, so we go to crackstation.net, and we paste in the admin user's password hash, and then click on I am not a robot, and then crack the hashes. And we see that it was MD5 encrypted. It was not encrypted. It was MD5 hashed, and the password is password over here. So this is convenient, and we actually know that the password was password because this is what we use to log in. But let's try one more. So over at this other user over here, Gordon B, their password hash is this. So let's copy this, and then let's feed this over to CrackStation. So over at crackstation.net, we're going to replace the previous password hash with this one. So let's make the text a little bigger, and then click on the I'm not the robot, and then click on crack hashes. So this password is ABC123. All right, so that was great. So let's try logging in as this user just for fun. So back at the TryAcme page, we can log out of DVWA, click on logout, and then we can give the username Gordon B, and then the password is ABC123. And then click on login. And now we're logged in as that user. So you've logged in as Gordon B. All right, so we've successfully enumerated that database by using SQL injection. So just to reset, let's log back in as the admin user. So we're going to click on log out. And then we're going to log back in as admin, and the password is password. Okay. Okay, so I think... okay, so it seems like the more difficult version is going to be the medium level one. So I don't think I've done this one, but let's try it out. So the first thing we need to do is go back to DVWA security, and we need to set the security level to medium. So we're going to switch the security level from low to medium, and then we're going to click on submit. All right. So in my notes it says that we need Burp Suite in order to do this challenge over here. So let's try loading up Burp Suite. So what we need to do inside of our attack box is close out our, not close, just minimize the Firefox browser, and then we're going to set up Burp Suite in the attack box. So I think, yeah, Burp Suite is this shortcut right here. And after we finish our SQL injection web app hacking classes, we're going to be doing a couple of lessons on Burp Suite and how to use it. So this is going to be a fun little first look over at Burp Suite. So people here probably have taken a look at Burp Suite before, but we're going to be going more in depth into using Burp Suite in a couple of weeks. All right, so from here, we just need to click on Next and then click on Start Burp. So Burp has kind of a particular workflow to it that you have to get used to. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go over to the Proxy tab. So there are a bunch of different tabs over here. There's Dashboard, Target, Proxy, Intruder. So the first thing you need to do is go over to the Proxy tab. And then you need to make sure that this button right here, the blue button, is labeled. This is currently labeled Intercept is on. What we need to do is we need to turn this off, because if Intercept is turned on, then it's going to try to intercept every web request, and it's going to be a bit difficult to navigate while this is on. So we need to click on it, and then the button will say Intercept is off, and that's what we want. So the second thing we need to do is we need to open up the Burp web browser. So the Burp web browser is a web browser that's connected to Burp Suite, and that means that we're going to be able to record all the traffic that moves through the web browser. So we need to click on this button right here, which is labeled Open Browser. Just click on that. So it says your OS does not support Burp's browser running with Sandbox. It's Sandbox enabled. So you can allow Burp's browser to run with its Sandbox disabled by going to Settings, Burp's browser, and then allow Burp's browser to run without a sandbox. Okay, so we go to Settings, Burp, and then Settings. And then we click on the Burp's browser button right here. And then, so under browser running over here, we have to click on this checkbox right here, which says allow Burp's browser to run without a sandbox. Okay, and after we do that, we can close out this window. And then we can click on Open Browser one more time. So sometimes the Burp browser might take a little while to open up. Okay, it's working. All right, so the great thing about this web browser, like I said before, is that it's attached to Burp Suite, so everything is going to be proxied and recorded by Burp Suite. Let me try to resize the window a little bit, or just move it around. Okay, so from here, what we need to do is we need to grab the IP address. So we're going to go back to our try hack me page, and we're going to grab the IP address once more. And then in our attack box tab in the Burp Suite web browser, we're going to put in the IP address of the vulnerable machine, the DVWA machine, and then we're going to log in one more time. So an interesting thing to note is that when you type in your username right here, so you're going to type in admin, and then we're going to provide the password, and then click on login. So if we go over to Burp Suite right now, so we go over to Burp Suite, and then we go over to HTTP history, you're going to notice there's going to be a post request to login PHP over here. And you're going to see that our username and our password are in plain text over here. So this is actually, this is interesting because these credentials are passed over, and anybody who was monitoring the web traffic would be able to see the username and password in plain text. So, but that would require somebody to be in the man in the middle or machine in the middle position, and to be capturing all the web traffic. So that's just something I wanted to highlight. All right, let's go on. So we're going to go back to the Burp browser, and I think so. I'm just going to minimize this right now. So this is the Burp browser right here. We need to go down to DVWA security and click on that, and then set the difficulty over to medium. Set it to medium and click on submit. So just note that that Burp Suite has been recording all of our interactions with the app over here, including our post request over here to switch the security over to medium. So let's see if I can make this bigger. Can I make it bigger? I'll put this in the repeater. So over here it says security equals medium and security submit, and then the user token. So this is the user token. This should be the cookie that lets us keep our session when we're working inside of the DVWA app. All right, so let's go back, because we're doing SQL injection. So let me see if I can easily resize this window. Sometimes it's hard to grab these things. Such a pain. Okay, so we'll try to work with this size window. All right, so what we need to do is just go back down to the SQL injection page over here, and this is the medium difficulty version. So we see here we've got a user ID. So we've got a few different user IDs. We can just click on something else and click on submit. So that's going to send a post request. So we've got an ID number, a first name, and a surname over here. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to do our SQL injection inside of Burp Suite. So we can do that by going over to Burp Suite, and then go over to our proxy and HTTP history. So what we can do over here is that we can order these requests by the number, and that's the default view. So over at the bottom here, we click on this request, and this is a post request to the SQLI endpoint. What we need to do is we need to right click it and then select send to repeater. So it's this right here. There's also a keyboard shortcut, Control+R. So click on that and then click on the repeater tab. So this text is a little bit small. If you're having trouble reading this text, then let me know and I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. But I'm not sure how much bigger I can make it inside of this inside of the Burp Suite UI over here. So this is what we're going to be doing to send our SQL injection. Okay, so it's going to be this right here. This specifically in the body of the the body of the post request right here. Let me see if I can make this bigger. No, I don't think I can. Okay. So I think what we need to do here is we need to include a single quote over here, and we need to send this and see if it gives us an error message. So we're going to edit this so that there's a single quote here, and then we're going to click on send. And in the response, we need to click on this. And it says you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your something something. Okay, great. Okay, so we know that there is a SQL injection available on this app. So we just need to go back to the request tab, and we need to craft our union select. So over here, we're going to do quote and then space and then union select. And it's going to be null. I think there are three columns in this request right here. So if we go back, excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. Okay, so over at let me take a look at the Firefox. And over at the SQL injection, when we submit one of these one of these requests, it looks like there are three columns because there's ID, there's first name, and there's surname. So what we can do is we can go back to the Burp browser. Sorry, not the Burp browser, but Burp Suite. So we're going to guess three columns. So we're going to union select null, and then null, and then null. And then we're going to give our double dashes as usual, and then we're going to send this. And in the response, it says, okay, so actually in the response over here, you can actually make this look like what it would look like in the web browser by, I think you can, yes, this is the button right here. So this is the render view. And this is going to try to render what it might look like inside the web browser. So we don't see anything over here, but that's okay. What we're going to do next is we're going to try to return the database name. Okay. So let's, oh, you know what? Sorry about that. Let's see. Let's go back over to the repeater. Oh, we're at the repeater already. So we go back to the request, And I'm going to, so null, null, null. Maybe it's not 3. Let's try 2. Okay, and we're going to send that. And the response is, we also don't see anything. Okay, so we're going to go back to the request. We're going to try on YouTube, Stit 2023 just subscribed. Thank you very much, Stit 2023. Okay, so we're going to do 2 nulls, and then we're going to try to look for the database name. So it's going to be database, and then, all right, let's try this. So null, null, database. So we're going to send this, and then in the response, we don't see anything. Okay, I think it might be because we need to include a little bit more code after the SQL injection. So after the SQL injection, we're going to include this part right here, which is and submit equals submit. Okay, so after we adjust it, we're going to try sending this again. Okay, click on submit, and then in the response, it says you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to your SQL Server version for the right syntax near line 1. Okay, so it looks like that worked, but unfortunately we've run out of time for this segment right here. So everybody, if you want to keep on investigating this, please go ahead and do so. But we're going to be moving on to the second part of our stream today, which is going to be talking about hacking history. All right. So, but thank you for everybody who showed up here for the SQL injection practice. So, if you want to keep on investigating using Burp Suite in order to do SQL injection, please feel free to do so. But we're going to be moving on to the next section, the next topic for the stream, and it's going to be hacking history. So for this section, I'm going to start playing some music to make it a little less formal. Okay, I'm going to adjust the volume a little bit. And we're going to change up the overlays. So it's going to be, this is going to be hacking history. And we're doing the Sony pictures and the Bangladesh. So maybe we can say Sony and Bangladesh bank hack. Hope this all fits. Okay, it doesn't fit very well. Let me adjust this. Okay. All right, so this is hacking history now, and we're going to be doing an investigation into what happened with some of these historic hacks. I should probably close out all of my attack box and stuff before we do this, so I'm going to exit out of Burp Suite, and over at Track Me, I'm going to terminate the machine. Show the split view, and then I'm going to terminate this machine. Okay, so we're going to be doing some research, and we're going to be doing research on Wikipedia, and we're going to be doing some research over at ChatGPT and any other AI we can make use of. Maybe we'll use Perplexity. So Perplexity, Perplexity.ai. Okay, so let me just grab the GitHub that we're going to be editing a GitHub file over at GitHub, the Shy Hat HackerFrogs, and so this is for HackerFrogs, and then it is hacking history, and we're doing target number 9, which is Sony Pictures. So during this this segment, we're going to be answering some questions. So we're talking about the Sony Pictures hack. We're researching today. We're going to ask what happened, when was the hack discovered, how long do we think the hackers were operating before the hack was discovered, who was the target of the hack, how was the target initially compromised, what other hacking methods were employed, what was the impact of the hack, how was the hacker identified, how confident are we of attribution, was the hacker punished? If so, how? What is this hacker doing now? Did they engage in other known hacks? What was the response to the hack? What makes this hack famous? And we're going to look at some lessons learned for this particular hacking history moment. All right, so we're going to start editing this file. If you want to take a look at this file that we're editing over here, it can be found at the following link. Okay, so let's take a look at the Wikipedia article for this. So over at Wikipedia, we're going to search for Sony Pictures hack. So there's an article right here, 2014 Sony Pictures hack. So 2014, it's hard to imagine, but it's already been 10 years since this event took place, and it was really big news way back when. Okay, so there's dark mode. Maybe we should do dark mode. All right, so where is it? Dark mode. Ooh, much better. Okay. So I don't want to read out too much of this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's see if I can have Google Translate read this out. So I'm going to go to translate.google.com. Paste this in. And then I'm going to have it read it out loud. Oh, you know what? You can't hear this because I don't have any sound enabled on my virtual machine. But I can solve that. Hold on. Let me grab a web browser that you can hear the sound of. And first of all, let's make it an incognito one, just to keep my privacy safe. Okay, so I just need to set the web browser so that you can hear what it's saying. This is Google Translate. Oh, hold on. Google Translate, okay. And hopefully you can hear this. Okay, so let's have it read.
On November 24, 2014, a hacker group identifying itself as Guardians of Peace leaked a release of confidential data from the film studio Sony Pictures Entertainment, SPE. The data included personal information about Sony Pictures employees and their families, emails between employees, information about executive salaries at the company, copies of then unreleased Sony films, plans for future Sony films, scripts for certain films, and other information. 1. The perpetrators then employed a variant of the Simoon Wiper malware to erase Sony's computer infrastructure. 2. During the hack, the group demanded that Sony withdraw its then upcoming film The Interview, starring James Franco as a reporter and Seth Rogen, who also wrote, produced, and directed the film alongside his creative partner Evan Goldberg, as his producer, who are hired by the United States and South Korean governments to set up an interview with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as part of a plot to assassinate him, and threatened terrorist attacks at cinemas screening the film. After many major U.S. theater chains opted not to screen The Interview in response to these threats, Sony chose to cancel the film's formal premiere and mainstream release, opting to skip directly to a downloadable digital release followed by a limited theatrical release the next day. 3, 4, 5. United States intelligence officials, after evaluating the software, techniques, and network sources used in the hack, concluded that the attack was sponsored by the government of North Korea, which has since denied all responsibility. 6. Some independent cybersecurity experts doubt the involvement of North Korea.
Okay, so it looks like a hacker group describing itself as Guardians of Peace. Okay, they leaked this confidential data from the film studio Sony Pictures Entertainment, and there was a bunch of information about Sony Pictures employees, as well as information about executive salaries at the company and copies of Sony films that had been unreleased thus far. So this is why it was a really big deal. And then the hackers proceeded to use some sort of malware to erase Sony's computer infrastructure. So they tried to erase the data from all the computers at Sony Pictures, and that's what happened. Okay, so let's fill in the blanks over on our GitHub page. Where are we? Nope, not this. Let me clean up my tabs a little bit. They're getting a little bit unwieldy here. Okay, so what happened? So a hacker group calling itself Guardians of Peace broke into Sony Pictures computer network, then leaked a lot of corporate information, including salaries of executives and unreleased Sony Pictures films. The hackers then deleted a lot of data from the Sony Pictures computer network. All right, so what happened is this. When was the hack discovered? We should probably note when this hack happened. So according to the data, it's over November 24th, 2024. Okay, so let's note that. November 24, 2014. When was the hack discovered? Okay, so during the hack, the group demanded that Sony withdraw its then upcoming film, The Interview. All right, so Sony was made aware of the hack on Monday, November 24th, 2014. Now the question is, how long were they in the network before the hackers announced themselves? So it was discovered on November 24th, 2014. And how long do we think the hackers were operating before the hack was discovered? So we could ask ChatGPT this question right here. So regarding the 2014 Sony Pictures hack, how long do we think the hackers were in the network before they were discovered? Okay, so we get one answer that says that hackers likely had access to Sony systems for several weeks before the actual breach was publicly announced. But let's ask Perplexity AI and see if it gives us a different answer. Okay, so we're going to ask this question. So the answer here is the hackers were likely in Sony's network for months before the attack was discovered. So it says here months, and ChatGPT says several weeks. So for several weeks to months. So I guess the consensus is probably several months. All right, let's put this in. Several weeks. Several weeks to several months before the announcement. And we got that from Perplexity AI. Perplexity AI and from GPT. Okay. So who was the target of the hack? So the target of the hack was Sony Pictures Entertainment. But let's just confirm that that's the name of the company. Sony Pictures Entertainment, Inc. Okay. Next question is, how was the target initially compromised? What other hacking methods were employed? So let's take a look at the Wikipedia article and see if there's any indication as to how they got in. So the exact duration of the hack is yet unknown. So investigators say the culprit spent at least 2 months copying critical files. So a member of the organization claims to perform the hack stated that they had access for at least a year prior to its discovery. The hackers involved claim to have taken more than 100 terabytes of data. Claim has never been confirmed. So although Sony was not specifically mentioned in its advisory, the U.S. State's Computer Emergency Readiness Team said that attackers used a server message block SMB worm tool to conduct attacks against a major entertainment company. So SMB worm tool. Let's ask what ChatGPT thinks. What method was employed in the initial compromise of Sony Pictures in 2014? So here it says the initial compromise was reportedly achieved through a spear phishing attack. So this differs from what the Wikipedia article says. So it says spear phishing email, malicious attachments and links, okay? So the malware is typically a remote access Trojan, a RAT, that allowed the attackers to gain access over the infected machines. But let's check what Perplexity says. In this case, it might have a different answer. How was the initial compromise? Oh, I need to spell initial correctly. Compromise achieved in this hack. Okay, so it says, believed to have been achieved through phishing emails. Employees may have unwittingly, okay. Additionally, the attack involved the use of a SMB worm tool, which included a component such as a listening implant, backdoor, proxy tool, and destructive hard drive tool. Okay, so I guess what we can get from here is that there was probably phishing involved in getting the initial foothold, and afterwards they used this SMB worm tool, which had a bunch of other stuff in it. Okay, so let's include that. Initial access through spear phishing attack, or it could have been normal phishing. Normal phishing, maybe. And other tools involved include an SMB worm tool. Okay. All right. So the next question is, what was the impact of the attack? So the impact of the attack was that several Sony Pictures unreleased films were leaked to the public, and salaries of executives were also leaked. Okay, so we got that from the Wikipedia article. So was the hacker identified? How confident are we of attribution? So let's try asking ChatGPT, were the hackers identified? How confident are we of this attribution? Okay, so the hackers behind the 2014 Sony Pictures hack were identified by the US government as being linked to North Korea. So the FBI and other intelligence agencies attributed the attack to a group known as the Lazarus Group. So the Lazarus Group is the group of hackers that is associated with most of the major hacks attributed to North Korea. So it says, due to malware similarities, IP addresses involved in the hack, and code overlap, this is why they feel that the North Korean hackers were involved. So confidence and attribution, high confidence. The US government expressed high confidence in their attributions to North Korea based on the weight of the evidence. However, cyber attribution is inherently complex and sometimes contested. So in this case, the hackers were worried about the depiction of the leader of North Korea in the film that Sony's Pictures was going to release, called The Dictator. So this one right here. Oh, no, it's not called the Dictator. It's called The Interview. So this was a film that was going to show the leader of North Korea in a bad light. So they wanted this film to not be released, and that was one of the things that they were really pushing for. Okay, All right, so, but the question is, how did the hacker group communicate? So they released a Okay, let's ask this question as well. So how did the hackers communicate with Sony Pictures? And what were their demands? Oh, this is interesting. So they shared emails. The hackers sent threatening emails to Sony Pictures executives and employees. These emails contained demands and warnings threatening to release the sensitive data if their demands were not met. Okay, so the hackers released public statements through file sharing sites and other online platforms. And they demanded the cancellation of the interview. Cancellation of the release of the interview, a comedy film that depicted a fictional assassination attempt on North Korean leader. Okay. And they also wanted financial and operation demands. In addition to canceling the movie, the hackers also demanded that Sony Pictures remove any traces of the film from the internet and never make it available in any form. And also threats of violence. They made threats of violence against theaters that plan to show the movie, involving fear of potential physical attacks. Okay? All right, so the hackers were or rather the hack was attributed to the North Korean hacker group known as the Lazarus Group. The US government is very confident of this attribution. Okay, so next, was this hacker punished? Was this hacker punished? If so, how? So I'm pretty sure that there was no punishment for the hackers, and they didn't get caught. Were the hackers caught? Were they punished? Okay, so it says the hackers responsible for the hack were not officially caught or punished. The US government attributed the attack to North Korea, citing evidence linking the attack to North Korean regime. North Korea denied any involvement. So nothing happened to them, all right? Nope. The hackers were not punished. What is this hacker doing now? Did they engage in other known hacks? So I can just ask this question, and it'll probably say that it'll probably tell us about the other big hacks that the North Korean Lazarus group has done since the Sony Pictures hack. So let's go over to ChatGPT and ask here. Okay, so it seems like the group behind this hack right here are known as the Guardians of Peace, but they're widely believed to be linked to the Lazarus Group, which is the North Korean hacker group. And they did the Bangladesh bank heist, which is in 2016. So that was a couple of years after this. And they tried to steal $951 million, but only got away with $81 million. So they also did a bunch of cryptocurrency cryptocurrency robberies, and they also did some other cyber espionage. And then they went on to do the WannaCry ransomware attack, which happened in 2017, which we also covered during another segment of hacking history. And then did they try to hack Sony Pictures again? Okay. Well, let's put this in the file over here. So the Lazarus Group, which was believed to have performed this hack, has also been, what is the word? Has also been attributed to the Bangladesh bank heist of 2016, as well as the WannaCry ransomware attack of 2017. So these people have been pretty busy. What was the response to the what was the response to the hack? Okay, this is a good question. What was the response to this hack? Okay, initially Sony decided to cancel the release. This film that was the source of the hackers' demands. All right, but they ended up releasing it anyways. So the government, U.S. government attribution response, said they responded, and President Obama announced that the U.S. would respond proportionally to the attack. Shortly after, North Korea experienced temporary internet outages, which some speculated could be a form of U.S. retaliation. So Sony's internal actions, so they took significant steps to improve their cybersecurity measures, okay. Legal and financial consequences, all right, industry impact. So what can we take away from this? Sony improved its cybersecurity practices. The U.S. government may have taken the North Korean internet offline for a time with cyber attacks. All right, so what makes this hack famous? Well, I guess you could say that this is the first hack to demand that a piece of media be silenced. So what makes this hack famous? So aside from this, so this is the interview movie. And also ask Perplexity, what else made this this hack famous? So scale and impact involved theft and subsequent leaking of a massive amount of data. Okay. Public and media attention. Connection to the interview, attribution to North Korea, industry and security implications. So I guess public and media attention is another really big one, because this was made public after the attack. So huge public awareness of the attack. And what was the one? What's one more that we can take away? Attribution to North Korea. Okay. to North Korea. Okay, so the last thing we need to take a look at is lessons learned. So what lessons can we learn from? What were the big lessons learned? Sorry about that. The big lessons learned from this hack. Okay, importance of cybersecurity preparedness, employee training and awareness, network segmentation and access controls, importance of data backup, encryption and backup. So I guess the importance of data encryption and backup. So they deleted a lot of stuff from their computer network. So I guess this is very important. And let's pick a couple more of these. So phishing awareness is probably a really big one because they supposedly got in by using phishing. And one more. Incident response plan. Okay. So a lot of companies need to have a plan for when they are compromised or hacked. So they've got plans for what to do when this happens. So this is something that big companies need to plan for. All right, so this was the Sony Pictures hack, and we're going to be moving on to the next target, which is the Bangladesh bank heist. So let's commit the changes over here. And let's move on to the next target. And this is target number 10, the Bangladesh bank heist. Okay, so let's start editing the file. So this is the Bangladesh bank heist. So this is a pretty exciting story as well. So it's got a big article on it as well. Bangladesh bank robbery. Okay. So let's have our Google friend, Google Translate, read this out. And this is a short summary of this hack. So let's make this text nice and big. Okay, that's a little bit too big. Still too big. Okay, and let's read this out. Oops, this isn't it. I gotta go over to the other one. Hold on. So this one. Whoops. I gotta paste this into the Okay, so let's listen.
The Bangladesh bank robbery, also known colloquially as the Bangladesh bank cyber heist, 1, was a theft that took place in February 2016. 35 fraudulent instructions were issued by security hackers via the SWIFT network to illegally transfer close to $1 billion United States dollars from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York account belonging to Bangladesh Bank, the Central Bank of Bangladesh. 5 of the 35 fraudulent instructions were successful in transferring 101 million United States dollars. With 81 million United States dollars traced to the Philippines and 20 million United States dollars to Sri Lanka. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York blocked the remaining 30 transactions, amounting to 850 million United States dollars. Due to suspicions raised by a misspelled instruction, 2, as of 2018. Only around 18 million United States dollars of the 81 million United States dollars transferred to the Philippines has been recovered. 3. And all the money transferred to Sri Lanka has since been recovered. Most of the money transferred to the Philippines went to 4 personal accounts, held by single individuals, and not to companies or corporations.
Okay, so the TLDR of that was that the Bangladesh bank robbery was a theft that took place in February 2016. So the hackers tried to transfer $1 billion from the bank account belonging to the Bangladesh bank over to several different other accounts. So the hack was successful, and they were able to transfer the money. Only a lot of these transfers were blocked, and they were only able to get around $101 million. But there was a lot of this money was able to be recovered. So of the 101 million, they got about 81 million that went to the Philippines, but the 20 million that went to Sri Lanka was recovered. So we can say that only $81 million was actually stolen by the hackers. But you could say that this was probably the biggest bank heist in history because of the amount of money that was successfully stolen. Although they were trying to get $1 billion, but they were only able to get about 1/10 of that amount. Well, less than 1/10 of that amount. Anyways, let's start our research. So over here, so what happened? The bank account of the Bangladesh bank so hackers attempted to transfer $101 billion from the bank account of the Bangladesh bank to several other bank accounts in different countries, including the Philippines. How do you spell Philippines? Philippines and Sri Lanka. Most of the transfers were blocked, but $101 million was transferred to accounts in Philippines and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, the money transferred to Sri Lanka, which was $20 million, was recovered, but the remaining $81 million was successfully stolen by the hackers. Okay, so when was the hack discovered? Let's get the date really quick. So this is February 2016. Okay, so when was the hack discovered? So the hack was discovered, I think this was done over the Lunar New Year holiday, and that's And because the hack was done over the Lunar New Year holiday, there was kind of lax security because it was a holiday weekend, and the banks were also going on holiday. So when was the hack discovered? So let's ask ChatGPT. In the Bangladesh bank heist, how do you spell heist? When was the hack discovered? Okay, so here it's February 4th, 2016. The heist was discovered when an official at Bangladesh Bank noticed a discrepancy while reviewing SWIFT transactions. The official found a number of unauthorized transfer requests had been made from the bank's accounts held at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Okay, so I'm going to take a little drink of water, just a second. Okay, so it was noticed on February 4th, 2016. So let's note that. February 4th, 2016. So how long do we think the hackers were operating before the hack was discovered? Perplexity, can you answer this question for us? Regarding the Bangladesh (2016), okay. All right. The hackers were operating within Bangladesh's bank's network for about 2 weeks before the heist was discovered. Operator logs indicated that the hackers logged in for short periods during this time, allowing them to observe and understand the bank's procedures for international fund transfers before exiting the heist in February. So they think that they were operating for about 2 weeks before the heist was discovered. All right. So roughly 2 weeks before the attack. Signs of login from the attackers were found during the investigation. Okay, so who was the target of the hack? The Bank of Bangladesh. How was the target initially compromised? What other hacking methods were employed? Okay. So this is another spear phishing attack. The Bangladesh bank heist involved a sophisticated, multifaceted attack that exploited several vulnerabilities. Okay, spear phishing attack. Initial compromise is believed to have been carried out through spear phishing attack. They sent phishing emails to employees of Bangladesh bank. Okay, so once the spear phishing was successful, the attackers installed malware on the compromised systems, which provided remote access to the bank's network, allowing the attackers to explore and understand the internal systems and processes. So I'm going to ask one other source about this. So we're going to do ChatGPT as well as Perplexity. How was the initial compromise achieved in this case? So this answer differs. So it says here that the initial compromise in the Bangladesh bank heist was achieved through the use of malware, which was likely introduced into the bank's network via a... Okay, so that's still phishing. So this is phishing or spear phishing, and then malware implants. All right. So this music is a bit weird, so I'm going to skip it. So we're going to say phishing or spear phishing, followed by malware implants. What was the impact of the hack? $1 billion was this music is also weird. Okay, that's better. Attempted to be transferred from the Bangladesh bank, but only 81 million was successfully stolen. Okay, in this case, was the hacker identified? How confident are we of attribution? So I'm just going to save a bit of time, and we're going to say the attackers were, or the hack was attributed to agents of North Korea. So I think there's a section on attribution in here. So investigation. Okay, so let's ask the AI. It's probably going to give us a more direct answer. You've hit the free limit plan. Oh no, I can only use the basic model, but that's okay. So what was I asking? So how confident are we in the attribution of this hack? Okay, the attribution of Bangladesh bank heist to the Lazarus Group, which is believed to operate under the direction of North Korean government, is based on several lines of evidence, but it does come with some degree of confidence and uncertainty. Okay, so technical evidence, malware analysis. The malware used in the Bangladesh bank heist shares similarities with other malware attributed to North Korean actors, such as the Lazarus groups. For instance, the malware used in the attack had similarity to the tools and techniques previously linked in North Korean cyber operations, infrastructure and IP addresses. Some of the infrastructure and IP addresses used in the attack were linked to known North Korean entities or were part of a broader network associated with North Korean cyber activities. And tactics and techniques. The attacks, tactics, techniques, and procedures resembled those used by the Lazarus Group in other operations, such as the Sony Pictures hack and the WannaCry ransomware attack. So confidence level. Many cybersecurity experts and government agencies, including the FBI, have expressed high confidence in attributing the attack to North Korea based on the weight of the evidence and the alignment with known North Korean cyber capabilities and motivations. Okay, all right, so that is that. Hack was attributed to agents of North Korea. We are fairly confident of this attribution. Was the hacker punished? If so, how? The hacker was, well, actually, I think some people were arrested. So we could, so let's ask who was arrested. Who was arrested in connection to this hack? Were they hackers or not? Okay, in connection with the Bangladesh bank heist, several individuals have been arrested, though not all of them were directly involved in hacking itself. Not all. Okay, so Paul LaRue Associates here. A notorious criminal mastermind, Paul LaRue, was linked to the heist through his associates. LaRue himself was not directly arrested for the Bangladesh bank heist. Okay, and a Turkish hacker named Erkan Aydin was arrested in connection with the laundering of the stolen funds. He was accused of helping to transfer and launder some of the money stolen by the Bangladesh bank. Okay. So in the Philippines, they got this person, Michael Bautista, and Alex Mendoza. Several individuals in the Philippines were arrested in connection with the laundering of the stolen funds. They were linked to casino transactions where the stolen money was funneled. Their arrests were part of a broader investigation into the money laundering activities related to the heist. So North Korean suspects, no direct arrests. So maybe one of the people that was arrested in this case was an actual hacker, but mostly it was people who were doing money laundering. So some arrests were related to the laundering of the stolen funds, indicating that the stolen money was handled and moved through various financial channels. So we can say that several people in the Philippines were arrested, and a couple of other people. I don't know who this Paul LaRue is, but I guess we could let's summarize this. So, was the hacker punished? So, one hacker associated with this hack was arrested, but no hackers from North Korea. Several criminals involved in laundering the stolen money were also arrested. Okay, and what is this hacker doing now? Did they engage in other known hacks? The hacker group, the Lazarus group, were also involved in several other high-profile hacks, including the WannaCry attack of 2017, and the Sony Pictures hack in 2014. Okay, so what was the response to the hack? So the response to the hack, I guess we could say that the response to the hack was most of the money transfers initiated by the hack were stopped. But some of them, okay, so most of the money transfers initiated by the hack were stopped, but some of them got through. So what else was through? So we can say, what makes this hack famous? So what makes this hack famous? I can answer without looking. So $1 billion was there was an attempt at stealing $1 billion. However, only $81 million was successfully stolen. Okay, let's see if there's any let's see if there's any other hey, ChatGPT, what makes this hack famous? So this was the largest cyber heist. So the largest cyber heist, it was one of the largest cyber heists in history with nearly $1 billion targeted for theft. Although the actual stolen amount was 81 million, the scale of the attempted theft was unprecedented. Sophistication of the attack, advanced techniques. The heist involved highly sophisticated techniques, including spear phishing, malware deployment, and manipulation of the SWIFT network. So the manipulation of the SWIFT network is probably one of the biggest reasons that this heist is really famous. They used advanced methods to avoid detection and execute the fraud. Okay. Connection to North Korea. Money laundering. Okay. I guess money laundering is another. There is a use of casinos to launder the stolen funds. So let me take this down. In the form of casinos, which was the method through which the stolen money was exfiltrated. Okay. All right. Lessons learned. Wait. I want one more thing from this section right here. Oh, manipulation of the SWIFT network. So a banking transfer system was also used on a very large scale. All right. So what are we here? So lessons learned. What did we learn from this? Okay. So what were the big lessons learned from this hack? Importance of strong security protocols. Okay, employee training and awareness. So the attack likely began with a phishing email. So this is more phishing training that we need to give employees. So I can say at the top of the list is phishing. What do we call it? Phishing awareness training. So that's one big thing. Another big thing is network monitoring and anomaly detection. So the this hack was only thwarted because somebody noticed some sort of spelling error in one of the requests. So that's how they were able to flag the transfer as suspicious. So that's a really big thing in this case. And maybe one more. Importance of strong security protocols. So the hackers exploited weaknesses in the bank's security protocols, particularly in the SWIFT messaging system used for international transactions. Segmentation and access controls, limiting access to critical systems and data through network segmentation and strict access controls can prevent unauthorized users from moving laterally within a network once they gain entry. So regular security audits, incidents. I think this is another thing that they need to pay attention to at these big companies, especially financial institutions. So they need to do a lot of security testing. So security audits and penetration testing, which is letting people try to break in and to identify potential flaws in the computer network. So I'm going to include these. Okay. All right. So I'm going to save this out. If anybody else is interested in learning more about the Bangladesh bank heist, there's a great Darknet Diaries episode on this. So you can always check it out over here. And I think they also did an episode on the Sony Pictures hack. Oh, did they not do a Sony Pictures hack one? Okay. I could have sworn they did. So let's see if they have some episodes on North Korea. Information monopoly, okay. Hot wallets, okay. WannaCry, tornado, Bangladesh bank heist, okay, which we did already. All right, so I guess that's only that one podcast episode. Okay, but I think no. There's another podcast series. So North Korea Lazarus Heist, I think it's called. Okay, so this is a great series over here, and it was made by the BBC. So Lazarus Heist podcast. Yeah, I think you can download them from over here. So if you want to learn more about all these different hacks that North Korea did, you can find these episodes over at this link. All right, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to be closing out the stream for today, but thank you very much to everybody who came by. We did some SQL injection practice over at PicoCTF as well as tryhackme.com. And then we did some research about historical hacks. We talked about so a couple of big hacks in history that was done by North Korea. So Full Automation says, hi, nice night. Nice night. Well, thank you very much, Full Automation. And if you want to take a look at any of the other live streams that we've done, you can go over to the Shy Hat channel, which is my YouTube channel. I'll just plug it right now. As well, we have a subreddit, which is over at reddit.com. Our HackerFrogs, and we have a bunch of posts about all the cybersecurity stuff we do over there, as well as our schedule for live streaming, which we update every week. But thank you very much to everybody who came by today, and we're going to be back on Friday, where we're going to be doing some Try Hack Me. We're going to walk through the Brudits module over there, and then we're going to do some game development. So I've been working on a little game that teaches cybersecurity through a video game. It's a visual novel, and we're going to be doing a little bit about designing the game's statistics on Friday's stream. That's going to be late night. It's going to start at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and go until 11 p.m. Sorry, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you there, but until then, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Oh, and Pebble, hey, thank you very much. Who is on from the InfoSec channel? Let's take a look. So InfoSec streams, thank you very much, Pebble. I recognize your name from the InfoSec streams list. We've got Cyber Info HQ. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, so it looks like they are doing some cyber courses development. let's send everybody over there. But thank you very much, Pebble. And let's give you a hack the planet. So hack the planet. These are some video redeems.
Hack the planet! Hack the planet!
All right, so we're going to send you over there, and we're going to raid Cyber Info HQ. And I hope everybody can go over there and tell them that the Shy Hat sent you. And we'll do one more redeem just for fun, and it's I'm Root.
What are you?
I'm System Root.
See you next time, everybody.